All right, hi. This is Monica from the Bright Bible, and
Calyx.
my son Calyx is joining me tonight because this is our kid-friendly video tutorial on making paper bag prayer journals. So Calyx and I have been talking a little bit, and I'm sure we're going to have lots of great conversation that we will have as we kind of assemble this together. But first, as we get the things pulled up and get rolling, I want to make sure that everybody had a chance to go over to our website, www.thebrightbible.com, and you want to go to our shop. And in our shop is going to be this free handout, and that is going to be really a great tool for you to kind of follow along with us tonight. We won't go through it obviously word for word, but we certainly will be referencing parts of this. And the great thing about this is that it was set up for you to be able to do this without the need of us. So you can go through it. It'll show you how to assemble. It tells you what kind of supplies we need to gather, which we'll talk about in just a second. It's also going to give you some creative ideas of how to use parts of your prayer journal. For instance, one of the parts of our prayer journal is a little sneaky little pocket from the top. Do you see? And what did we put in those? Pull this out. Definitely our prayers. We put in there little cards that we can write on. So we're going to show you how to make those cool cards fit inside your pockets that are made because of the way that the paper bag was made. So be sure to check those out. We hope that you will enjoy doing this with the kids in your life. If you are a Sunday school teacher, this would be a really great lesson for you, a really easy lesson, really. Because it's already here. We also even have scripture verses. So if you are working with children and you want to really explore what God says about prayer, there's lots of resources here for you guys to look up together. So why are we calling this a paper bag prayer? Well, these are simple, quick, but very meaningful chats with God. Because what Calyx and I were talking about earlier, and he's got a few really great answers for this. Calyx, why is it, we talked about this, why is it that we pray? What are some of the things that we pray about? What are we allowed to talk to God about?
Anything.
Right. So what's something that you might talk to God about? If something is bothering you, what might you talk to him about?
Have that thing stop.
Okay, so if something is going on and you really are hoping that it stops or it gets better, that's good. Do you ever pray for people in your life?
Yeah.
Who do you pray for? Who might you pray for?
Grandma Rose.
Grandma Rosie, oh, she's the best. Grandma Chris, yeah.
Papa.
Yep. So your family.
Papa Marty.
Yeah, we have lots of good family.
Dazer.
Your best friend. Those are all really cool people. So we're going to go ahead and have you guys, we've got lots joining us. So we're going to say hi to some of you. We see Nancy on there and Margaret, Leah. We see Beth, we see Rachel joining us, Pam. We're so glad you guys are here, Carrie, Sarah. We're going to go ahead and get right to the fun part. So hopefully you were able to catch the little blurb earlier today where I was encouraging you to gather some materials. So Calyx and I are going to just start by simply going through the material. So he's going to help me out. Calyx, come on over here.
Here's the whole material.
I'm going to show them the finished product. That's always a good way to start, is to show the products that we kind of put together as a sample for our youth group.
Draw a note in there.
Yep, we've got some little areas to flip up.
Washi tape.
We love washi tape.
Then you can write anything.
Yep.
And then...
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just show you we've used lots of different materials to prepare our pages, and that's really what we want to do with this crafty part, is to give the kids something fun and engaging so that they can kind of prepare their own personal creative journal with all these fun pockets and places to write, and then be kind of organizing them with notes. So in this case, we're getting kind of ahead of ourselves, but I'll just kind of show you. If you see, I wrote my boys, so that's kind of how I would be having my kids, and what we'll do with Calyx today is decide what each page is going to stand for in its purpose. So that's the finished product. We're going to set this aside, and we're going to come over here. Calyx, come on over to this side so we can look at the stuff. How many bags do we need, Calyx?
About one. I see.
1 or 3. Mom helped out with that one. We're going to start with 3 bags, and I'm going to show you how we're going to put these together. If you see, the bags are, you know, the pocket is on one side, the flip is on the other. We want to switch these up. So we're going to lay the first one down.
There.
We're going to flip and flip the second one. And then we're going to flip that one. So once we have them kind of, looks like a what?
It looks like a bed.
Oh, it does look like a bed, a pillow and a bed. Then we can take all 3 of those together, and this is the first part of our assembly, is to just simply, and these were already folded in another direction, to put them together, and then what are you going to do with it? Smack it down, right? And we're going to make sure we have a good crease. Now, the next step is going to be simply creating holes to feed our, what through? This is twine. What else could we use to combine our book together, to bind it together?
Maybe like rope.
Yeah, we could use rope or yarn, maybe some string, some colored flosses. So we've got one here punched, and I'm going to tell you, to save you some trouble, you really do have to separate the books, even though they're folded, separate them, and to try to just kind of eyeball where the lineup is. You don't have to be perfect, but it is very, very hard to get through more than one level. The next thing, I'm going to go ahead and get ourselves some twine or some string. Now, there is no right or wrong way to binding your book. Some of you are really, really crafty, and you may have a better way for them to stitch a beautiful edge. I highly would encourage that. That'd be epic. But there's several ways you could do this. So one way would be to string this through one end here like this, and kind of find, so I'm going to have Calyx hold the bag. This is one way to do it. Of course, there's all sorts of ways to tie together, but I want to make this kind of cool and lacy looking. So I'm going to have him hold it, and I'm going to cross these over and then go through the opposite sides. And of course, it's going to be a little bit of a booger because I don't have the, let's take this out. It's going to be too much, I think. We're going to go through one this way, and the other lace will go through this way, and it kind of braids the edge together. Let me pull these tight, and then I can show you what that's going to look like. But it's going to crisscross right on the edge. Let's make sure that they can see this. We got to get over here a little bit further. Can you hold it, and I'll do that one more time for them so they can see this cool? Yeah, go ahead. So this one is going to, yep, go on that side, crisscross. The twine is a little difficult. I don't recommend it as much for your littles because it is a little bit more difficult. So this one comes on this side, buddy. It's a little bit more difficult to keep the end from fraying. If you do have twine or yarn that's kind of fraying as you go, you could also put a little piece of tape over it. But you can see there that it kind of makes a cool edge of zigzagging. But you could certainly also cut pieces just of single and then just simply tie the knots on. Okay, so you could also do this. You could just have singles. This would be really fun if you had some colorful yarn. So you could just have these fringes going off the edges of each one of the holes. And to be honest with you guys, if this is just this little tiny bag, honestly 2 or 3 holes is plenty. I just did the 5 because I wanted to do that weaving, and you have to really do have 5 you know, holes to be able to do that enough time. So I hope that makes sense. But of course, there's lots and lots of ways that you can bind this book together. Okay, so that's kind of the main focus of the assemblage. And now what I want to look at is how to kind of work with some of these. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just cut these and trim this off for the sake of teaching today. We'll kind of go back and forth between the sample that's already completed and then this, this page here as well. Okay, so this is great because this actually just shows us the examples that you'll see, and the more bags you have, the more of these samples that you're going to have. But one will be the flip page, which we have right here, where it kind of flips up. You can fold it back, which is cool because you can make a little secret message on the inside. You can also then have the pocket, and of course we're going to be putting in some cards. So that's going to be the step I'm going to take you down next. My suggestion, the way that I kind of formulated them on the papers here, these guides, were to use the inside pockets for prayers for yourself. My thought on this is that oftentimes if we are kind of putting something out there, even if it is in our own journal, it's scary, right? It's a risk to put our own feelings out. So I liked the idea of using the pockets for places where we pray and think about the things that are maybe going on in our lives. So on these 3 pockets, one of the suggestions was having confessions of the heart. And I think that we can't avoid that sin, right? We know we're teaching our children to obey and to respect and to have all those commandments, you know, not stealing and lying. We have all these things, and we are in this sinful nature even as children. And so I think it's important for us to help them recognize the things that maybe are bothering them and that are things that they want to give to God. And so one of the ways that you could really talk about this is through confessions of the heart. What is it in my heart that I know I need to give to God because he wants to take care of it and he wants to cleanse it? So confessions of the heart could be one of those tabs. You could talk about the tough stuff, like the frustrations and the anger and the hurts that maybe we have and that we need to heal from. And those could be things that we could just simply write down, those words that kind of make us uneasy, or maybe situations that you're dealing with at home that you can pray about and allow them to be a part of that healing process as well. So in order to do these tabs, these prayers for me, we suggest that you get yourself a 4x6 card. Now I think 3x5 cards would work, but I liked that these were just a little bit wider. However, if you notice my pack here, we trimmed these down. So we just used a trusty old cutter, as you see here, and we trimmed about, I was going to see about how much we trimmed. I think it was just about, let's see what we went to. So we are 5x4. So we took an inch off of these, and that seemed to fit the standard paper bag sack. So you can see it goes in. We can trim it down to make sure it doesn't get stuck. But here's the fun part. So Calyx, I'm going to ask you to do this part with me. Okay? We've got some tabs. And Calyx, I'm going to ask you a problem-solving question. This is a creative thinking question. If you didn't have a tab puncher like we do, what if somebody that's watching our video, they want to do little tabs on their cards, what could they do instead to make a cool tab? What could they do?
Cut it out.
They could simply just cut it out, right? They could cut out even just a square and fold it in half and glue it down. And what about this stuff? You like this stuff. What can they do with this? And what is it, first of all? Mr. I just took a big bite of brownie. This is washi tape. And if you take the washi tape, we'll show you how that's done. Oops, I was on the end there. If we take the washi tape and we just simply grab a strip of it, we can use that on the ends of our card by kind of folding it over on itself to create the tab on the ends. So that is definitely an option for creating very inexpensive, especially if you have washi tape, and very quick and easy for the kids, especially the little ones, to just tape it right on there. Now, if you would like to make the tabs like we have here, Calyx, I'm going to need you to come on over because I need you to do some gluing work for me. Let's move our brownie and our cutter. Calyx, can you come over? I'm going to have you do this while Mama gets another thing ready. I'm losing his attention span. This does happen.
No,
come here.
That,
oh, I see. That is a great idea. So Calyx that's what he was busy doing. He was cutting to show you how you could make your own tab. He's going to color it. So I guess Mama will do this part while he colors his own, and we'll make his own tab. See, the fun thing about working with kids is that they always have good ideas. And like, even when we think our ideas are really great, they always come up with something, you know, very, very genuine. and very personal to them. So I just used a glue stick. Of course, you could use some good old Elmer's glue, and I'm just going to glue that on to my card, and now I have a tab, and that way the reason we thought this was kind of a good thing to do is so that when the card is inside of this part of the journal, you'll be able to see and pull it out so it doesn't get lost in there. Okay, so you can slide that in, and there's the tab to keep us being able to slide this in and out. Do lots of fun stuff with that. Calyx is going to show us his tab. Are you done making it or not quite yet?
Yep.
You want to put that on the other card? I can take the washi tape off. Another bonus of washi tape. It can be removed quite easily. Okay, Bub, so do you want to cut it, show them under here first your tab that you made? So there's his decorated tab. And he is going to go ahead. How about you come right here so they can see what you're doing?
No, Mom.
Oh, it's a surprise. Okay, okay. All right, so next up in the video.
I don't want to. My toe is hurting.
Okay, we are going to go on to the next segment. So this is just an idea. So I talked about earlier in today's video, if you did catch that earlier, I was just kind of giving you a little precursor for today. I wanted to show you some possibilities with what to do with certain papers. And one of the things I had suggested is that as you gather up your crafting papers or your scrapbooking papers, you've got all these fun little books, all these different patterns. The pages and the patterns are really cool for kids to be able to kind of have a pre-divided thing. None of these are the best. These are really small patterns, but there was one in here I knew for sure, and I bet you I'm out of it because I probably used it somewhere. But there was one right here. So this one right here is great because it has the lines. It's fun, it's colorful. It seems less intimidating than just a lined sheet of paper or just a white sheet of paper. So what we would do is we would take our scrapbooking paper.
No, Mom, it doesn't matter if it's just a white piece of paper because then you can color it.
That's very true. You could definitely spend some time coloring it. That's a very good point. So we're just going to take some regular scissors and I'm going to trim this down. Now I'm trying to get this to cover up the front part of my pocket. So I'm going to try to trim it according to that. So I'm just about right there. Of course, you could be more precise and use your cutter. I'm not a very precise person when it comes to stuff like this. We're just having fun. I'm going to trim off the yucky edge here. Line it up to make sure it fits that part of the pocket, or I'm sorry, the folds. And then we will trim it down here. And now this is kind of decorating that little flip up, and of course we could do some special things under here as well. But the nice thing, like I said about these patterns, is that it allows them to have a space to write in that's different, that's unique, that's a little less intimidating than just a blank page. They could even number the lines that they see in this pattern and maybe bullet point things that they're thankful for, which is one of our page that we suggest to do. You can also have some fun with some of the prints. So here is my example. Of course, I had fun with this, but this was my family section. So I have my boys over here with the TNC, prayers for Traven, which I'll be writing in here. Calyx is here. And then I have one for my extended family. So I have all the people that I care about. My new baby cousin, baby Ruby. My husband, the boys, my nephews and nieces, even the dog. But this was an actual piece of paper, and it just had the perfect little holes. So something like that where you can find some scrapbooking paper where the kids can draw into or think about the family. Because again, we want to not only just have this be a writing journal, but something that they, no matter what age, that they can reflect and they can think about the people that they want to give to Jesus. So behind that, you can see we used flips. So one of the things you could add to your book, especially on the plain pages, are tip-ins. And to make a tip-in, which we will have here, Calyx, may I use this as a tip-in?
Yeah.
So we're going to put, we need a little bit of your glue to get this side down. So we've got our writing side here. This is not, this glue is kind of running out on me. Yes, here it is. So imagine we get this glued down here. I don't know if that's going to stay, but we'll try. And then what we would do here with a tip-in, let's say we want to tip this way. So we're going to cut just the tiniest bit extra here off the bottom of our card. We want to leave space for a fun washi tape. Calyx, which of these washi tapes would you like?
That one.
This one here? Okay. So we're going to peel off a piece of our washi tape that's just a tad bit. So this is a piece of washi tape. We're going to put this down here. Now, one thing I found to be a little tricky is if the washi tape goes over the edge, it tries to stick, it's going to be a little bit harder to fold back. So we just kind of peel it up and trim. That's kind of a mom job, I think.
Like hair.
Like hair, we're going to trim. And then we fold this back and just give it a good crease. And now we have a tip-in. Now the fun part about this, and like you see in this example here, is that the tip-in comes down for one layer of family, right?
Pretty easy.
Yes, it's very easy, isn't it? And then this one, look at it's a double tip-in.
Yeah.
So this one goes out. So there's much room, and the reason for this is, hey, here's the space for my boys, but I've got a lot of family. So this allows me to have space here, and then space throughout here. So it allows you to have more layers and more words for writing, or more space for writing and drawing.
But also you could do it like this. So if you just want to go to one, you just get it and pull it up.
Yes, having your tab there is super helpful, isn't it? So then you can use it as the pull down. I like that idea a lot.
Like you just pull it, and then you pull it. Then you have the sheet of paper right here. Then you also have another secret paper.
That's exactly right. It's kind of like a little secret space.
Another
All right, okay, so the last thing that we're going to show you as far as like ideas to get you started, because really what this is about, this level, this stage, is about the preparation. And one thing that I've learned in my teaching is that blank pages, the starting point scares us a little bit. And that goes for, unless we're working with small children that have no fear in art, when we're into that judgment zone and we're into that whole self-confidence thing, even into adulthood, that can be intimidating. So one way to simplify, like just simple thing, not simplify, but to simply do, is to just take lines or shapes and divide the space. So now Calyx has a starting point for a really cool creative design, but he also has given himself divisions in his paper to be able to put different thoughts. That's a really powerful way to get kids started and have it not be so intimidated. What we want to do now is to just simply go back to the basics, or to the base, not the basics, but the base of why we're here. And that is to be praying. We already decided that our inside tabs were going to be about prayers for me, but let's talk about prayers for others. We might be praying for someone who is sick in our family or that we're worried about. We might also be thinking about those who lead us, those superheroes in our life, our maybe a child's coach or teachers, those people that are influencing their lives. This is a great way for them to pray about the person leading them. We also need to remind our kids that we have to pray for our enemies as God asks us to do. There's a lot of suggestions here, but what my next step here is that I suggest for you is to go through these with your son or daughter. And you know what? At some point, put the papers down and just ask them, what kinds of things do they want to be praying about? What types of things do they want to be doing? And then what I would do is, if they're too young to be doing the writing, mom could write for, or grandma, or if they are old enough, they could label these pages themselves. So let's just talk about this, Calyx. So what could we do with this page here? Who or what could we pray about? Could this be, well, let me give you choices. We could pray for family on this page.
Family.
It's a done deal. Totally family. Okay, so this is our family and friends page. Okay, family and friends. So I would just simply leave that there for them. And then as Calyx has things that he might want to pray, okay, something simple. These are simple prayers. We want to just encourage them to get started. So I would do that throughout. This one might be about my school teacher or about school in general. So this could be something about what he's looking forward to this year or goals he might have. We could number these pages as I suggested. We might take these and say, let's set 3 goals that we want to ask God to help us with this year. Maybe things he wants to work on. Now, I think we've pretty much gone over all of the paper bag journal. You have to offer choices for kids, especially based on their age. So when we just kind of let it out, you know, like just go to town and here's we're going to make these paper bags, and we don't really like walk them through it, it becomes, you know, unorganized for them. Their brains are not made to think in that level. So giving a few choices, especially for our little ones, or at least walking through it step by step, it really helps the success of not only their experience, the likelihood for them to connect with it, but it's also more successful visually too, because they've really thought through it and processed with it the way that they can. So, you know, I was going to tell you guys this. There's some really, really cute bags at Hobby Lobby that are in the birthday section, and they're for like the little goodies, but they have patterns already on them. That would be really cool as well. So just consider grabbing a few of those next time you're at the craft store. I think this is an activity that can be modified in so many different ways. It's a very basic, this is not a new concept. I think just putting it together as a prayer journal for kids is just a really cool concept that I really hope that you enjoy. And the last thing I want to say before Calix shares his thing is that we just really appreciate you guys, and we want you to be a part of our Bright Bible family. And we're in a place of growth. I know that I mentioned this earlier, but there's lots and lots of new ideas coming. So if you like what we're doing, if you have suggestions for what we could offer on our website, we would love to hear from you, especially privately. If you can email us, it's really great for us. And if you have not signed up for our monthly emails, just go ahead and visit us on thebrightbible.com and get signed up there right away. That August lesson is going to be coming to you guys any day now, so be ready for that. Do me a favor. If you and a child take time to put together a book like this, and you have this great experience with them, and they are willing to, you know, let you take a picture or two, I would love to see what you guys come up with. I want to see how you modify this, how you evolve this idea, and to see not so specifically what they're praying about, because I think that's really personal, but at this stage in the game, what have you come up with? I'm going to go ahead and tonight make an album for us that will be all examples. So we'll post some of our examples, and then we will look forward to seeing what you guys create as well. Okay, I'm going to turn things over to Calix. He has reminded me of a really cool thing that you guys we encourage you to do with your family, right? Two things. Okay, so come on over here so they can see what you've got.
The first thing is a prayer jar, what we used to do, and it has a bunch of stuff in it. Like a bunch of people, like...
Who's that one? Brandon. Okay.
Or like maybe another night it could be Noah.
So I'm going to just reiterate what he said. This jar is a ceramic jar that we...
You can get it anywhere where there's a bunch of stuff, maybe at like...
Probably a Hobby or Home Goods or someplace that has a good jar with a lid.
Yeah.
And it was our prayer jar. The kids, you can tell that the kids were the ones that came up with the names and even wrote them down. We kind of decorated.
You did some.
I did some. This was Mama's. These are yours. But these were all people that they would think of. And we left this on the kitchen table for almost over a year, I think. And each night going to dinner, they would each take turns picking out a name to pray for. And so Calix was thinking about this, and he thought, what are you thinking?
I was thinking that you would keep it like this and just decorate all around it and flip it, decorate all over it, and then
put it over here so they can see.
Making it like just put a bunch of people like the prayer jar. You would put it in there, and then you pick somebody in your family or friends, and then you would pray for them. And then on the back of it, it would say somebody in your family at the house, at the table, who would say the prayer. And then you would close it back up.
Right.
Like that. Then have maybe
like a little clip. Maybe one of these little, I think I know exactly what you mean. Like one of these little clips.
Yeah, one of those little clips.
And that would hold all of your prayers.
Hold all your prayers.
Thanks so much for joining us. Have a good night.
Bye.